Good morning, everybody. I hope that you're all really well. I've been spending a lot of time with a hurting heart. Um, yeah, I just feel like I'm going through a heartbreak. Uh, yeah, just a heart that's really hurting. And it's been really hard to be with. Um, I know yesterday I was trying to avoid being with it at all costs. I was unconsciously just trying to grab onto anything else I could. And of course that amplified the heartbreak. It was like my heart was like, hey, I'm hurting. I need someone to be with me. And I was like, you're hurting too much. I don't know how to be with you. And it was finally last night or so, or yesterday afternoon, evening, that I finally started to get curious about the pain in my heart. And I finally let myself be with it directly. Because when our heart is hurting or our creature is in distress, it's a habitual and really easy to go into the mind space and to just kind of numb out on thoughts. And it's like that's the first addictive pattern I tend to go to when there's something going on in my creature that I don't know how to meet with grace, with presence. I'll unconsciously go to my mind and my thoughts. And the thoughts will be looking to solve the problem because the mind will label our creature's distress and our heartbreak as a problem. That's just what the mind does. But it wasn't until yesterday that I just sat with my heart without trying to figure anything out. That I cultivated a little bit of space, a little bit of warmth for my own heart, my own creature. And it wasn't a going into the heart to try to soothe it. I mean, we can self-soothe, that's okay. That's perfect. If that's, that's fine. But what I'm trying to say is I wasn't going into my heart to try to transform the pain, release it, move it through. Because anytime I do that, I tend to get too involved with it. And when we get involved with our pain, it tends to just get more stuck. It tends to just build. Because it's that's not what the heart's asking for. The heart's just asking for our curious presence. It just wants us to be with it, and it will move whatever it's moving through. It will move it through on its own time. It will release it whenever it's ready. Our egoic agenda has a different idea about being with these places. It's if I do this thing or if I do that technique, then I'll feel better. Then my heart will just heal. And this is not the reality of how awakening and healing works. So yeah, I finally just went into my heart space with just this open curiosity, what's going on here? Not in the sense you need to tell me, but just what is this? What is this? And yeah, it's just a lot of distress. It's a lot of ugh, ow. And as much as it hurts being with the pain, it feels better in a sense to at least be right with it, to be one with it, to be just listening to it, than it does to go off into my mind or to go eat sugar or to go try to find dopamine over here, a distraction over here, right? And so yeah, it's just been a lot of heartbreak, a lot of heart pain, and even letting the reasons that my mind is deducing why I'm in heart pain or I'm in heartbreak, even letting those reasons fall away. They might be valid, they might be true, but just temporarily playing this kind of game where let's just let the pain be the pain, no labels. We don't know anything about it. Let's just play that game for a while. And then if something emerges from there, If my heart yields something from that place, okay, then it's coming from a place we can trust. But I'm trying to do this thing where I don't go into my heart pain with a bunch of ideas about it. I'm just letting myself be really innocent and really unknowing, and just meeting it with pure presence. And then, yeah, if my heart says stuff to me in that space, okay, we listen. Yeah, and mine is just saying I'm hurting, I'm lonely, I'm afraid, I don't want to do this. Just this in general, not like this video. I'm doing this video for my heart. I'm actually speaking from my wounded heart in this video. I'm letting my heart have this video, you know? But just this, there's just this general, I don't want to do this. And I think this meaning push, force. Just in general, there was, like I was alluding to in yesterday's video, there was this kind of energy in me that was really egoic, that was really bypassing my own heart. That was, yeah, had some force into it, some push to it. And that was hurting my heart. That was unsettling to my creature. And I feel like that's what, when my heart's speaking, I don't want to do this, that's what I'm feeling in my body. It's like my body, my heart, it's like, hey, I don't want to live life this way. We've surrendered living from that place. I want to live in a flow. I want to live in a harmony. So the heart is connected to unified consciousness, right? The heart's always going to be guiding you to move from a state of unification, from a state of non-separation, from a state of oneness. Where the egoic mind, it can go off into division. It creates good and bad, right and wrong, this or that, should and shouldn't. It does all that stuff. So when we're moving from the mind, we're going to feel like we're moving in separation from life. And I'm talking about the egoic mind. As you awaken more, you tap into to a state called the true mind, which is actually aligned with the true heart. But if we start moving from our egoic conditioning, egoic consciousness, that's when we're going to start to feel separate from life. And that's when the creature is going to start to feel really distressed. And so that's what I had been doing. And I'd been doing it for a day and a half, long enough for my system to be like, hey, no, we don't like to move from here. This isn't where we move from. So what I'm going through is just like feeling the kind of karmic consequences of doing that, feeling my heart just hurting, like going through hell. Because when we move from egoic consciousness, we drag our bodies through hell. We drag our hearts through hell. And so I'm just kind of coming back to my heart now, feeling through all the pain that I created in it, living through the distortions of the ego. Because, when we're just following egoic consciousness, we're actually in survival mode. That's a good sign we're in survival mode, and our body's going to fire up like, oh shit, what's going on? We're in survival mode. We're separate from the whole. Something must be off. It's like, and something is off, when we're moving from ego. It doesn't feel good, it hurts. So yeah, I've been coming back to the heart and feeling all the pain that's kind of built up from abandoning it, from abandoning life, from abandoning the intelligence of God for my own brilliant ideas. Anytime we have a better idea than our heart, we're gonna suffer. And we go with it, it's like, we're gonna suffer, which makes sense. And so for me, today has been about coming back to the intelligence of life, coming back into a state of unification with my heart. Yeah, and actually what I'm feeling is like I'm going through a death. The death of the part of me that was so scared and felt like it needed to control life, that it was going to egoic consciousness, that it was going to an old pattern to feel safe, right? The part of me that there's another part of me dying right now that doesn't trust God, that doesn't trust my own heart. It's like I'm dying into my own heart again. I'm surrendering into my own heart. I'm letting go of the parts of me that were unable to do that, that got the wheel for a little bit and created so much pain and resistance and dissonance, and just, in my body. And having compassion for those parts, like they didn't know any better. They were just so scared. Like this part of me that's dying, it's just a really scared part. It's just a really, I'm scared. It's like a really, what is it? It can be a very impulsive part. It can be it's just kind of this part that doesn't know any better, right? That's just stuck in fear. And yeah, there's like another layer of that dying. So as I go to my heart, as I go to the state of unified consciousness, it's like all the parts of me, or another layer of the aspects of me that are in separation, that are in fear, they're dissolving. And it's like that was the choice I was kind of being presented with. Okay, I could stay with the parts of me that are in fear. They can still have the wheel. I can be identified with them and continue on in the hell that's creating. I can keep doing that. Or I can surrender those parts and come back to my own heart. And actually what it was more like is like, first I just went back to my own heart, and then I realized what was happening. It's like if we go to our heart without knowing anything, just being completely kind of, humble and innocent, and just without any knowings at all, if we just go to our own heart, it's going to reveal to us the truth. And when I went to my own heart, I felt like a new choice opened. There was like this choice of like, hey, we can just be with the heart. We can just trust God. We can just trust the intelligence of life, and we can let go of identification of what was previously kind of moving me or steering the ship. And so yeah, that's what I've been going through, and I'm continuing to go through, and I'm just letting the parts of me that are just rooted in fear, that are needed to control life, that don't trust God, that don't trust my heart. Yeah, I'm just letting them fall away, and I'm feeling the death of it. Like yesterday, I took this long bath. I've been like, just like squeezing this pillow, just like, it's like going through death, It's like another layer of what I'm not, another layer of fear falling away, and that can feel really intense, and that can feel really, like you just want to be in the fetal position. It's like when intense fear is leaving the body, when another egoic program is leaving the body, it can feel like it's like death. It's like, and you want to lean into it, you want to go with it, you want to allow for it. It's like, what does this part of you need that's falling away? Like, how can we peacefully release it in a sense? It's like mourning it, there's, that could be some of the heartbreak too, the heartbreak of this part. Like, that poor thing, it's just hurting so much. It had to try to control life. It was hurting so much. It didn't know how to trust. It didn't have faith. It's like, it's just like a survival machine, It's just like another survival program falling away. Another aspect of the false self. Just being surrendered to the light, being given over to God. And so going into the heart, that's what going into the heart will initiate. It will initiate more ego death. It will initiate more layers of what you're not. Being released. Being healed. It's like the heart is our healer. The heart is our healer. The heart is connected to truth. It's like if you're feeling disconnected from truth, from God, if you're in all kinds of suffering, the first thing that I hope most spiritual teachers would tell you to do, maybe it would be pray, but another one would be go to your heart. Go to your beautiful heart and rest there and feel what's there for you. And what's there for you will inform you of everything you need to know. And then you'll really be moving from a place of true intelligence. Then you'll be moving from a place that you can actually trust. Because you're moving from a place that's actually real. You're not moving from fear. Fear is make-believe. You know, it's the intelligence of the heart. It's the intelligence of God that's actually real. So yeah, going to the heart, it's going to help you let go of what's not true, what's not real. And it can be painful to do so. It can actually it can hurt. But it's what we're here to do. So yeah, I hope this helps in some way. Thanks for being here, guys. Much love to you all. Namaste.